Coming up on WEBN Sports was a thriller in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. Find out how number 2 LSU Tigers snapped their 8-game losing streak to number 3 Alabama.
And find out how the Titans took down the Chiefs in Patrick Mahomes' first game back from injury.
From Boston, this is WEBN News.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to WEBN Sports. I'm Cam Manning.
And I'm Sam DeCoste.
We begin tonight in Tuscaloosa. Joe Burrow led LSU past Alabama on Saturday afternoon in a 46-41 thriller. Let's see how it all went down. First play, Joe Burrow lines back, throws it up, and Jamar Chase with a 33-yard touchdown reception, putting LSU up early, 7-0. We go now to the return from none other than Jalen Waddle, who avoids a vicious tackle by LSU's player, and he goes around one player and goes around another, and he could go all the way. He keeps on going, blockers in front, and it leads him to a touchdown for Alabama, making it a 10-7 game, bringing back the Crimson Tide into within scoring distance. Next play, Tua, throw it down left sideline, finds Devonta Smith for a 66-yard touchdown, bringing it within a 2-point ball game as Tua flexing on him. Joe Burrow in the red zone hands it off to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 1-yard rushing touchdown. Response by LSU, 26-13. Next play, Joe Burrow again finds his man Clyde Edwards-Helaire for a 13-yard touchdown reception, 33-13 LSU. You think Bama's done? Well, you think not. Tua fakes it, left sideline, finds his man Najee Harris for a 15-yard touchdown catch. Next possession, 4th and 2. Tua to the end zone, hits Jerry Jeudy, 5-yard touchdown. It's a 5-point ball game. Joe Burrow hands it off. Clyde Edwards-Helaire trucks number 7 and runs into the end zone. LSU touchdown. He had a monster game with 3 total touchdowns on the day. Tua, late in the game, going down, looking deep for his man, Devonta Smith. Hits him, breaks a tackle, and he is gone, giving Alabama life, 46-41 in the 1 minute left. But it was too much as LSU takes down number 3 Alabama in the biggest game of the year. And now for more on the LSU victory over Alabama, let's bring in our college football correspondent, Will Dean. Thanks for joining us today, Will. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
So what were your main takeaways from the LSU victory over Alabama this week?
Well, first of all, just what a game. It certainly lived up to the hype. LSU's first half dominance to Alabama's second half comeback. It really had it all in Tuscaloosa and is what college football is all about. So, but mostly just Alabama's defense absolutely crumbling there was one of the biggest surprises for me. I think they've been weak all season and is probably one of the weakest teams that they've had defensively speaking in the Saban era. And today it really showed as Joe Burrow absolutely picked them apart.
Do you put it more on Joe Burrow's Heisman case? Like he was shredding the defense. Do you put it more on Alabama's defense or LSU's offensive game plan set up by the coach?
Well, I think you definitely have to look at both sides there. Joe Burrow, there's no doubt he is the Heisman favorite at this point. He's been absolutely lights out, and he's proved it against all the biggest names in the game this year. So hats off to him. But certainly the deficiencies in Alabama's defense are clear here, and it was proven today that basically they can't win the biggest games without Tua playing lights out.
If you're Alabama and you're looking to get a bounce back win next week, put me in Nick Saban's mind. What's he thinking for next week?
I don't think he's going to be too concerned, really. Honestly, if you look at the rest of their schedule, there's not too many potential bumps in the road until you get to Auburn in the Iron Bowl, which, regardless of how many losses they've had so far in the season, they always come to play. And so that's going to be a big one, a chance for Alabama potentially to re-solidify their position and present themselves in a positive light to the committee.
Who was your standout player? If you had to pick one from both teams, who was your standout?
So for LSU, obviously it's got to be Joe Burrow, but you can't undermine the influence that Clyde Edwards-Helaire had as well. So he really brought that extra dimension that allowed Joe Burrow to make things happen both with his legs and with his arm. On the Alabama side of the ball, I thought it was really interesting that that 5-star recruit Najee Harris had one of his absolute breakout games. He, like I said, was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, but never really had that trademark Heisman moment or big time moment for him. So very exciting for Bama. He absolutely put the team on his back in the second half. especially on that opening drive, making that over-the-shoulder catch for the touchdown. 146 yards, 19 carries, and a touchdown. Pretty solid pickup there.
If you're Tua and you're trying to get back, like, Tua was not at full health in this game. Obviously, he's dealing with that nagging left ankle sprain, I believe. And if there was a healthy Tua, do you think this game plays out in the same way, or do you think it plays out differently? How do you think Tua looked overall in the game?
I think it was pretty clear, especially when you look at that first half fumble. He was out of it, and by the second half, he was barely walking. The man was literally taking a snap, taking 2 steps back, and absolutely picking apart the LSU defense. The way that he led that second half comeback on one leg was absolutely incredible. And I think in a lot of ways he's very unlucky that the Heisman pool this year has been so strong between Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow and himself. It's going to be a tight race to the very end.
All right, thanks, Will, so much. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Coming up on WEBN Sports, see how Russell Wilson and the Seahawks ended the 49ers' unbeaten season. We'll be right back. Welcome back to WEBN Sports.
The Chiefs and Titans battled this weekend in Nashville as Patrick Mahomes returned for the Chiefs. Could Mahomes lead them to victory? To the highlights we go. We start at the top of the fourth quarter. Mahomes, under pressure, throws over the middle. It's caught by Mecole Hardman, and he turns on the Jets, and Hardman's going to go all the way for a 63-yard touchdown. Now, 1:27 to go. The Chiefs up by 5 with a field goal attempt. But there's a low snap here, and Dustin Colquitt, the holder, just throws the ball away, squandering a chance at points. Questionable decision from Colquitt, but the Titans would capitalize on their next possession. Tannehill to Humphries for the touchdown. With 23 seconds to go, the Titans have the lead over the Chiefs. But the Titans would have the chance to force overtime. Harrison Butker from 52 yards out on the last play of the game. His kick is blocked by Joshua Kalu. And against all odds, the Tennessee Titans defeat the Kansas City Chiefs in Nashville. The Titans have won 3 of their last 4, and they're 5-5 on the year. Patrick Mahomes had over 400 yards in his first game back from injury, but that wasn't enough as the Titans prevail 35-32 in one of the wildest games of the season.
It was an NFC heavyweight battle on Monday Night Football. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks traveled to San Francisco to take on the undefeated 49ers. Would Seattle upset the Niners? To San Fran we go. Started off in the fourth quarter 21-10. Russell Wilson goes back, drops, and he's tackled, fumble. Offensive lineman recovers it, but then he loses it. DeForest Buckner walks into the end zone, and now it's a 21-17 ball game as San Fran's right back in it. Pete Carroll, none too happy about that. Jason Myers for 46 with a minute left. Drills it 24-21. Could San Francisco respond? We go to the next play. McLaughlin from 47 yards. The undrafted kicker drills it, sending it to overtime 24-all. In overtime, Russell Wilson does something he rarely does this season. Throws a pick to Dre Greenlaw, giving the San Francisco offense a chance to win it. McLaughlin for the win. Blocked. 47-yarder blocked, and now Russell Wilson has another chance to lead them back down the field for a win. Russell Wilson is patient in the pocket, opens up. Where's the 49ers defense? Letting Russell Wilson run up the field for a huge gain, giving them great field position for this field goal, leading up to a Jason Myers 42-yard attempt, and he drills it. The 49ers fall to 8-1 in their first loss of the season at the hands of the Seattle Seahawks. Credit to Russell Wilson and the boys for pulling out that one.
The Minnesota Golden Gophers are off to their best start in team history at 8-0. The Gophers faced off against number 4 Penn State this weekend. To Minnesota we go for the highlights. We start in the first quarter as Minnesota quarterback Tanner Morgan throws a deep shot to Rashad Bateman, and he's going to go all the way into the end zone for the touchdown to take the early lead over Penn State. But Penn State would respond in a hurry as Journey Brown, the running back, cuts to the left, and he's off to the races. Nobody is going to catch Journey Brown. He goes all the way into the end zone. That ties the game at 7 in the first quarter. Now we go to the second quarter as Clifford looks to the end zone. He throws into double coverage, and his pass is picked off by Antoine Winfield. Third quarter now, Penn State down by 11. Clifford throws to the end zone. That's a touchdown to Nick Bowers. That cuts into Minnesota's lead. But Minnesota would take it right back as Seth Green scores from the Wildcat. It's 31-19 Minnesota in the fourth quarter. But Penn State would mount a comeback. Brown on the edge scores another touchdown, his second of the game. It's a one-score game with only 4 minutes left. Now with a minute to go, it's now or never. 3rd and 24. He throws to the end zone, and Clifford's intercepted by Jordan Howden. And number 17, Minnesota, holds on for the upset.
The Boston Celtics and Dallas Mavericks faced off on Monday night in Boston. Who came out on top? To the TD Garden for the highlights. Jaylen Brown, the Celtics riding a 7-game win streak, face off against Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. To the third quarter we go. Tatum on the drive, kicks it out to none other than Jaylen Brown for the 3. Boston up by 5, third quarter. Doncic, one-on-one. Hard to stop this man when he takes that step back. Drills it, and it's a 6-point game. Doncic, again, same move, same place, over Jaylen Brown and money as he scored 36 on the night. Kemba Walker, though, was the story in this one. Halftime, second half. Pulls up, 3, bang, 94-92, another one. Over Blair, bang. Kemba Walker continued his hot streak as he hits a third consecutive 3. Boston up by 7 with 4:11 left to go. Kemba, double team, kicks it out. Marcus Smart steps into one and drills a wide open 3, 107-95 as Dallas wouldn't come back from that one as Boston wins by 10.
This week's moment of the week comes from the famed Rupp Arena in Kentucky. Last night, the University of Evansville Purple Aces shocked the college basketball world when they went into Lexington and knocked off the #1 ranked Kentucky Wildcats. The two schools met last night for the first time in history. The game was meant to be a so-called tune-up for the Wildcats. As a matter of fact, Kentucky paid Evansville a mid-major $90,000 to play them at home. On the floor, Evansville simply battled their way to a stunning 67-64 win over the top-ranked Wildcats. Sam Cunliffe led the way for the Purple Aces with 17 points. It's a signature win for Evansville head coach Walter McCarty. McCarty played at Kentucky from 1993 to 1996 and was a member of their national championship team in 1996. Here is McCarty after the game.
This is at the top. To be able to come back home and, play against the #1 team in the country and be able to perform the way that we did. I don't know if anything matches this other than winning the national championship, you know. I got a good group of guys. I really do. They love each other, and they're very connected. And with this group, to bring this group in here and to be able to do that, it's just awesome. And not getting better than that.
WEBN Sports. We'll be right back. Welcome back to WEBN Sports.
Let's talk about the Celtics. Celtics forward Gordon Hayward missed 6 to 8 weeks after suffering a fractured left hand in Saturday's win against the Spurs. Hayward suffered the injury after a collision with Spurs forward LaMarcus Aldridge late in the second quarter. The Celtics are off to a strong start in 2019-2020 season, leading the NBA with an 8-1 record. Hayward has been a huge part of their success, ranking 4th on the team in points per game with 18.9 and 3rd in rebounds with 7.1. Celtics forward Jaylen Brown stepped up in Hayward's place on Monday, scoring 25 points in their win over Dallas, the first full game without Hayward. The Celtics look to stay hot tonight against the Wizards at 7:30.
New York Knicks head coach David Fizdale is on the hot seat following a disastrous 2-9 start to the season. President Steve Mills and GM Scott Perry called a press conference following a 21-point loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers, stating that they are not happy with where the team's at right now and using narratives that the team's issues are coming from the coaching. Knicks players, on the other hand, are backing their head coach, stating their struggles fall on the players more than anyone else. The Knicks will try and strengthen their season out tomorrow against the Dallas Mavericks.
Miami Heat guard Dion Waiters was suspended 10 games after having a panic attack from consuming a THC-infused edible on the team's charter plane last Thursday. This is Waiters' second suspension of the season after criticizing the team on social media earlier this season. The Miami Heat say that they are very disappointed in Dion's actions this season that included the very scary situation on Thursday night. Waiters' spot on the roster seems to be in jeopardy following the incident.
The San Antonio Spurs honored legendary guard Tony Parker Monday night by retiring his number 9 jersey. Parker is a 6-time All-Star and is the Spurs' all-time assist leader. Parker was joined by his wife Excel and 2 children, Liam and Josh. The speeches featured several of Parker's old teammates, most notably Manu Ginobili and longtime head coach Greg Popovich.
As for the Boston Bruins, it seems not all players can achieve full health in the 2019 season. Though the squad is not a force to be reckoned with, fighting for a record of 11-3-4, it's as if there is always a man injured. Key players such as Charlie McAvoy, Patrice Bergeron, or Matt Grzelcyk are making day-to-day progress. Dependable players like Jake DeBrus, David Backus, and David Krejci have all been placed on the injured reserve for the time being. With almost half of the team not on the ice during game time, head coach Bruce Cassidy much depended on anyone willing to make up for the men unable to play.
Don Cherry, a Canadian sportscaster, was fired this past Monday after the Veterans Day celebrations. The 85-year-old announcer has been discharged for criticizing immigrants for not honoring military veterans in the appropriate manner. Though Cherry saw himself encouraging viewers to recognize fallen soldiers, the sports network decided the criticism was ignorant and intolerable. Cherry worked in the industry for nearly 4 decades as a legendary hockey player, coach, and sportscaster.
As for Red Sox veteran Dustin Pedroia, there are hopes for the second baseman to return in the next season of 2020. The 36-year-old has only appeared 9 games in the past 2 seasons due to an injured left knee. Pedroia's left knee has been injured and gone under surgery in numerous instances. Nevertheless, Boston fans are ecstatic to have their 4-time All-Star and 2008 American League MVP back in the starting 9.
For Major League Baseball, all eyes are on the dominant rookies of the year, Pete Alonso and Yordan Alvarez. Alonso, an authoritative first baseman for the New York Mets, led the league with 53 home runs and received 29 of 30 first-place votes for National League Rookie of the Year. Alvarez proved even more triumphant, receiving 30 of 30 first-place votes while only playing 87 games, the least games played by a player to accept the title.
That's all we have for WEBN Sports tonight. For more, follow us on Twitter at WEBN Sports and check out our website, WEBN.TV. I'm Cam Manning.
And I'm Sam DeCoste. Good night.